Welcome back to another episode, Talking Reflections.
Talking Reflections, we're right here.
Yeah, we're here with Cedric Williams. We got
Mark Bird, CEO, New Reflections.
Eric. Marco Enriquez, New Reflections.
Wake up, Mike. Come with us.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
Come with us, Mike.
Oh, he just said that was it. Being demure with it. Yeah.
William Brown.
perfect. Try to lean into that mic from you too, brothers. Okay, perfect. All right, so today our topic is finding focus, finding strength, and finding purpose. And so, how do you
Say
do
that
that?
one more time.
Perfect. So, finding focus,
Finding focus,
finding strength,
finding strength,
and finding purpose.
finding purpose.
Yeah. So those are going to be our topic for this discussion, and what we want to do is basically, want to basically give some words of encouragement to other men, other younger men, and also give some background on, how you go about those three things. How you find your purpose, your strength, and how you keep your focus. So, first off, navigating in the digital age with social media, technology, things like that. There's a lot of things that can take away our focus. So, how do you, find your focus? How do you keep your focus?
You gotta stay true to and focus on God first. Staying with that as your core and your center, but also staying true to yourself as a man, as an individual. That's one of my main focuses, to make sure that I'm true to God and I'm true to myself, daily. Good decisions, bad decisions. I try not to make as many bad, but we're all men, we're all human. But that's my focus. That's how I stay grounded.
What about you, Aunt?
Focus. I've never, excuse me, I've never actually thought about it, but it's a prime question for me and for where I am right now. I would say I'm coming into focus.
Coming into focus.
Coming into focus.
So were you out of focus? Was the lens out of focus?
Definitely. I've been out of focus just about my entire life. I have a strong lens though, so I can still paint a pretty picture, but it might not be the totally clear picture, especially when it comes to me finding out who I am. I feel as if I'm coming into my purpose, so I wouldn't say I'm per se finding focus. I'm letting my focus kind of find me. I'm staying open right now.
That's a good perspective.
I'm staying open right now.
That's a good perspective. Mike, what are you thinking?
Focus for me is daily, like in my routine. What I try to map out my day. If something comes up that disrupts that, I try to make sure that I make the adjustments necessary so I can continue to focus on the things that are coming after. So it's a lot. It's discipline.
But that takes a lot of discipline for you to be able to do that, to stay on task. A lot of us, it's hard to stay on task, right? Because we got a lot of things that come at us.
That social media, and you see that in children. The social media, what it's going on, they're focused. Like you're telling your kid, focus, let's focus.
Right.
But you got to put that on display. So they gotta have to see that on display.
You have to be intentional.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And that's perfect. The example that I have is Steve Jobs, which is a person who created the thing that distracts us. He focused on meditation, focused on Zen. He went and made sure that he was able to disconnect, not just from other people, but technology and things like that. So like how do you find and keep your focus?
I found my focus 7 years ago when I went to the penitentiary. And I sat down. God set me down for a reason. They gave me 10 years, but I got out in 7 of the feds. And when I say that you just have to really trust and believe in God, that he's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. Don't lose faith.
Right.
Never lose faith on what you believe in. It's a daily process. You got to die to your sins every single day.
Man.
And
That's deep.
What works for me is
God of your sins.
meditation.
Right.
Meditate on what you want to do that day. Take seconds, take minutes before you get up every morning. Lord, I want to do this. And believe that he's going to help you to do it. And when you trust and believe in God, hey, you don't have nothing to worry about. Your focus is going.
Right.
You know, you have to really, really focus on life. I was a thug guy. I was a thug. And all I believed in was selling drugs. It's going to be my focus. And, you know, God set me down. It took years and years, but I finally got a grip of it. And God is good. When I tell you I seen the hand of God move in my life to focus me, my lens was clear, cloudy. Now it's clear. I don't have to drive down the street looking in my rearview mirror thinking the police is going to get me. You know what I'm saying?
You
And
see
it
them
feels
lights
so-
come on, you're like, whoop!
And it
You
feels so
tighten
good
up. Oh!
when I can live in Leawood and not be afraid that the Leawood cops is gonna get me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So basically, when that fear is gone, fear and faith don't live together. They can't.
They can live next door to
Next
each
door
other.
to each other, but they can't live together. So when you got God, when you got faith, you got a lot. You really got a lot. And you have to believe it. We pray, but do we believe what we pray for? Belief is the key. And he will get you to focus. That's how I carry my focus.
I love it.
That lens.
Yes.
It's good stuff.
Focusing that lens.
Focusing on that lens.
And we've all had that foggy lens,
Oh, man.
right? Where we think our perspective is right, what we're doing is right, when we just as wrong as two left feet, right? But that focus, sometimes you got to be willing to adjust your lens.
Absolutely.
But the lens is, the thing is that it's looking at us, right? So looking within us to say, I need to refocus my lens, my focus on me, so I can be a better picture to someone else. So it goes back to what you're saying.
And as you're saying, you know, the way we're viewing things at times, it's others that are viewing us that can help us adjust that focus. So it comes into not only our perspective, but the perspectives of those around us that, you know, we constantly interact with, because at times we're looking this way, but they're looking from a different angle. And if you view it from their angle, you might be like, you know what? Okay, I can see that now. I can see a little bit clearer now.
You know, I had a student earlier, and you know, I can't say any names for HIPAA rules and laws and regulations, but the young man reminds me so much of me and a lot of us, right? And as we were talking, when I see him, he's very excited about what he does, but we use this word, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about what I'm saying. No, basically, you're kind of aggressive, right? You're kind of like aggressive, right? So I'm trying to kind of talk to the young man, hey, man, listen, what you're saying is correct. How you're saying it is incorrect, right? So stop waving your hands. You remember the kids, your parents say, put your hands in your pocket? It was a reason, right? You know, and I tried to explain to him after I tried to resolve and get him to calm down. And there was nothing wrong, but this is, as he said, he was passionate about it. I said, if a stranger sees two people arguing in the distance, who's the fool? Which one's the fool?
Right. The person that's, you know, acting erratic and they might not hear what you're saying, your points, but they can see, you know, by your behavior and how you're carrying yourself, for sure.
Man, I talked to this young man, and I talked to this young man, and I talked to this young man, and at that point, it made me think of our episode last week where we had the young man that said, don't give up on me,
Right.
right? Like, don't give up on me.
Yeah.
He said, you're dealing with this one time that you're trying to correct me or help me, right? But I'm dealing with this every day. So this young man today went home with the same challenges that he deals with every day. And I asked him before we stopped talking, have you dealt with this before? And he said, yeah. Right? So it's kind of the thing, So we got to learn to listen and be better in that point and proactive in how we, address people.
Perfect. All right, cool. So next topic is finding strength. So finding strength, being a pillar of strength, not just for your family, for your community, but also, for yourself mentally and interpersonally. Um, can you can you guys like come up with like maybe like a time of your life where you had to find that strength and that like opened another door into something else, like by becoming strong and by staying resilient, you were able to cross that path, and like we said, maybe this is for someone else out there who might be going something similar and being in that same position. Like what did you do that could pass on to the next?
I can relate to that. A few years ago, being released from prison and being in and out of prison a majority of my life, you know, knowing that things are going to be difficult. There's going to be obstacles. I'm facing these obstacles. The same obstacles I faced every time, but what I resorted to each time was that old lifestyle. I'm going to get out in these streets. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, I had those ideas, oh, I want to do this and I'm going to do that, all the right things, but it never come to fruition. But this last time, I'm like, you know what? I know what I need to do. I just got to stay consistent on a daily basis. Take it one day at a time, not get too far ahead of myself. I'm running my race, no one
That's right.
else's.
There you go.
And
There you go.
if I gotta walk to work, so be it. I don't, while I was more embarrassed, I thought I was embarrassed by, the things I had. But what embarrassed me most when I was sitting in prison was being away from my kids. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's the
why would I care
embarrassment.
about what another man thinks
That's
of
right.
the things, my possessions, when my kids aren't there? When I'm not there for my kids, I'm not there at their games. I'm not there to, support them, to help raise them. That's very embarrassing.
That's right.
And so,
That's right.
But we've built this false facade
yes,
that we need
what
to
we represent in our mind.
right, and we're all of these things that we're really not.
No.
Right? You're really not. Like most people, I've heard the saying where people would say, he's a born a killer. I've never seen a baby come out of a woman's womb a killer. They
Imitate.
come out and say, wham, like everybody else, right?
They imitate.
But we create killers and images
Imitation.
of what imitation, right? We're imitating something that we seen and something in most cases was false. It was false because if a man wasn't leading you to manhood and strength and guidance in that part of it the correct way, man, you were misled. Okay. And I was the same way. I didn't know. I thought, coming in a neighborhood that, man, it's just rough. It's rough. It's still them tastes. I'm just gonna say I stumbled on my word on that point.
Okay, but also with that strength though, strength comes with repetition, just like in the gym.
That's exactly what I was about to
In
say.
order to
Yes.
get strong, you have to continue. You got to put these reps in.
Right, and then also consistency by staying, strong. That's keep going, stay consistent. Keep hitting that target every single time. Just like when you're doing those reps, you gotta keep going, and it takes.
You get to that last one when your arms start shaking.
But a lot of
like, I need
a lot
one
of
more.
the times before you find out that you have the strength, a lot of people give up.
Right.
It isn't always easy, but it does get easier because you become stronger.
Right. Perfect. What about you? How a specific moment, like you just talking about, that you were in prison for 7 years, and I bet you had to go through a lot of stuff, and you had to stay strong. And we know a lot of people give up, and that's giving up, not mentally, physically, or even suicide. Black men, as we know, is the highest rates
Man, we're the highest
of
rate.
suicide.
We don't even talk
What I was-
about it.
Right.
That's what I was about to say. I was in prison talking to this young man, and they gave him 25 years. He was 26 years old. They gave him 25 years. And I talked to him, and I said, look, man, you have to not give up. And he was on my bunk, and we was just sitting there talking. I prayed with him, everything. And I asked him, I said, what are your thoughts right now? He said, I'm going to carry your thoughts out that you just told me not to give up. And we separated. He went to his bunk. I went to my bunk. And the next morning, he woke up dead. He killed himself. And that broke my heart, man, because after you talking to a man, and then the next morning, you ready for chow and stuff, and the COs is in there in his room, and you like, what happened? I had to really recover from that, because it was a very, very detrimental situation. I had known what was in his mind. Here I got 10 years, you got 25. And for you to do that, and for me to speak not to give up, and you just blew it out the window.
But
it was really, really detrimental, y'all. I mean,
but he didn't know, and he couldn't see what you seen. He said he was going to believe in what you seen and what you said.
Right.
But a lot of times we fall short. We don't really know, because we have to be able to believe in God first and then ourselves. And at that time,
And another thing, what Mike talked on, it was repetition. He didn't He didn't
Try
sit there
and fail. Right.
He failed.
Right.
He didn't try
Keep trying.
the next step. You got to
or
be
the next day in that
Yes.
situation.
Right.
The next day.
Yeah. It could have been. I mean, it was the worst, but it could have been a different story the next day.
Right.
So I just it really hurt me, and I had to recover from that.
Right, and you had to show strength also
Right.
in that same
So-
moment, to not let that get inside your head. And,
Right.
because you would almost feel like, are my words powerful? Do my words have purpose? You know what I mean? So you had to also find strength in that moment also.
Yeah.
Perfect. What about you, Mark? Do you have a moment specifically like that just sticks out in your mind, like where you had to, buckle down, find strength? And
Unfortunately, I have the same story as Billy. When most of my friends were graduating from high school and potentially going off to school or doing whatever with their lives, I was in prison at 17, right? And gave me I got 25 years, at 17. So I was that same young man that went from hanging out in the club, having fun, high school, playing ball, doing this, that, and the other, to being locked up, 23 and a half hours a day. You know what I mean? And it was challenging, and to go from the comforts of being just a young boy to figuring out how to survive in this cell, right? Like I went from mama feeding me to now me, a CEO, opening up a box to slide my tray through that they probably spit in, right? I remember counting center blocks in the wall, in the room, just to keep my mind moving mathematically so I could keep numbers and movement in my mind, because I had no literature to read. I had nothing, right? And, at that time, and he's still there, but there was a gentleman named, I don't know if we can say it, but I guess I'm going to say it. His name is Richard Grissom. Richard Grissom was a gentleman that killed all these women out here in Kansas many, many years ago and during this time where I was in prison. He ended up being my cellmate. Okay? When I got out the hole and went and met my cellie, this was him. He was the best chess playing person I ever met in my life. Smart, very smart man, right? But at that time, it was something in me that said, I don't want to come back here. And God, if you let me out of here,
That's right.
I ain't coming back.
That's right.
I ain't coming back, right? Like, I remember it. I mean, I was locked up 4.5 years, and I spent over 4. I think I spent 37 months in the hole. Can you imagine your brain being locked up for 23 hours a day? As a kid, right? In that point, it was like, man, God, if you let me out of here, You let me out of here. I mean, you know how we, Lord, if you help me here. I was on that one.
That's living in something the size of what, a toilet?
Man, living beside the toilet and a small little metal, little
Living
stainless
in the
steel
bathroom.
sink. I lived in the bathroom. You lived in the bathroom.
Same echoes.
Yeah. Men screaming
Yeah.
in cells next to you for their mothers.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
They were, most men in prison scream for their mothers. Mama, mama, mama,
Help me.
help me.
And
Right?
And that there though, like how you were in the whole. This last time I chose to be in solitary confinement so I could center myself because, Billy, and I'm sure you know the environment. It breeds the same thing. There's very few in there that want to get out and change. It breeds the same behavior.
Right.
And I said, you know what? I don't want to be around nobody. I want to go here. I want to go here and stay here.
Right.
Deliver the food to me, and I'm gonna sit here and get my mind right. Because if not, you got to distract your mind. A lot of people they're distracted with sports, gambling, doing the same things they were doing out
The same
here.
drugs on the outside or in there?
In the inside. So I separated myself so I can strengthen myself.
Perfect. So we got strength, right? We got strength, and if you would say the polar opposite is weakness, right? But how do we change the conversation where strength is to keep the tough guy persona? You don't need therapy. You won't be that person who's screaming out for their mother that's in a cell. Like, how do we show that when you reach out for help, when you reach out for support, when you build that community, that's really the strength. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we have a mixed definition of what the strength, what a strong man is versus weak man.
I
You
agree.
see what I'm saying? So
Because even when you hear about young men and men, grown men, you talking about going to prison, and they say, I'm just about to go lay down.
like that's strong.
Like that. Like, wait a minute,
Like
you about to go
that's a
lay down,
strength.
bro.
For
What
young
you
men,
mean?
you know, a
You're going to
definition.
prison. You ain't going to lay down and take no nap.
Not a strength.
It ain't comfort in there. You about to...
Or you about to
Or if you express yourself to another man, like when you guys, talked about your stories, how you guys come to each other, able to see somebody off their game and, pick them back up. You got to be strong to be able to take those words also and take that advice from your brother.
Being strong is identifying your weaknesses and being accepting. Oh, you know what? I'm weak in this area. I need help. When that's when you're strong. Someone points that out to you.
Right.
A weakness that you may not see, but that you look at it as a strength.
Right.
And it's not. And that perspective, that
Right.
focus, you see. Oh, okay. And it's being receptive of that as well. Because a lot of times, a lot of things that people think that are strengths. I'm talking the loudest. I'm moving my hands the most. I'm the most aggressive. Is really a sign of weakness.
Right.
Because honestly, you displaying all those behaviors. You're showing your
If
hand.
you're really that, you don't have to be that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
It'll show on its own.
Yeah.
That's right.
It'll show on its own, and people will feel it. But that's the false perception and false
Yes.
narrative that we have created, and we've allowed the situation to perpetuate itself by letting it be okay. You know what I mean? I should be able to go to my brother and say, I ain't right today. I ain't right today. And we should be able to have a conversation and be able to talk about
I had
that.
caught something today. I was checking something out and was talking about that, especially as parents, when we're going through things, and our children, like the guy said, our children are, they may have around 40 minutes of quality time a week with their parents in the home because they're at school, they're at sports, they're doing all these things, and here they are looking at us, seeing what we're going through, and we don't know how to express ourselves or communicate with our child. Like, hey, I'm dealing with this. This is because we're their example.
Right.
And if we're not being the right example, we're trying to put on the persona that we're strong, but we're
Right.
not communicating to our kids that, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, and this is how I work through it.
This is real, right? This is real right
when
now.
we work through our difficulties, to provide an example for our children,
That
so
makes
they
them
know how.
stronger.
So they know how to
Exactly.
work on it when they become adults. But
right.
if all they know is, oh, mama or dad, they go get a beer when they're stressed
Or they
out.
fight and flight.
Yeah.
Right, straight up, straight up. And that's just redefining that definition, you know what I mean? Of like what is a strong person, strong man, and what does that look like? So next, finding purpose, right? I would say a lot of people believe that their profession is also tied to their purpose. And also a lot of people try to find their purpose in their profession, also. How does that tie with you guys? Like your purpose in life, does it tie in with, what you do, like in your job?
I'm be quick to chime in on that. What you do is not who you are, right? You may run a football fast. That ain't who you are. That means your name would be fast football runner, right? But who you are is a man. You got feelings. You got thoughts. You have a perspective. You have, right? And a lot of times we think even with status, and we all grown up with that. You talked about hustling in the streets, and we all, understand that perspective. And so we think the more money we make makes us this person.
Right.
Oh, this car that I drive makes me this person. That don't make you who you are. If that's the case, you lost. And that car gonna drive you off a cliff, right? But who you really are inside, man, when you find him, right, and you're honest with God with him, because he already knows, man, it's just open. That's just where we are. When we get caught up in that, and I see us right now, we got the biggest rims, we got the loudest music, we got, even men wear red bottoms now. I don't know what that's about. Like, you know what I mean? We Gucci belts. You didn't, I didn't listen. Back in our day, you had a Maverick and a Pinto and a Chevy something, and you was clean. Now I gotta have a Bentley to talk to you, honey. You ain't going. You don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory with me to eat. What do you mean? It's
And go ahead. Would you say something?
Well, we're talking purpose for me. Excuse me. It's everything for me because everything for me is like these questions are rolling in real time. You know what I mean? That's finding purpose has been. If there was one question that I've been asking myself all my life and didn't even know I was asking myself the question, it would have been, what the fuck? Excuse me. What are you here for? What's your purpose?
Right.
I mean, that question has been, you ever had something just riding on the outside of you? You know it's there. You know it's there. You know what I mean? But you've gotten comfortable that's knowing that you really don't need to look at it. And sometimes when you look at it, it slows down or you speed up and you miss it. And then it comes back. And for me, that's what my purpose has been. If I go through my history, I've always been the same cat, but I've lived a whole lot of different lives. I've always been the same guy. It doesn't matter what I've been involved in. If I was this side of the world, that side of the world, this side of town, that side of town, doing this, that, or another, I've always fundamentally been me. I got my ways. I'm far from perfect, but a pretty good dude,
You're
man.
not?
Shut up.
And Mike, how do you find your purpose?
My purpose found me when I came to New Reflections. I didn't recognize it at first, but my purpose is to give of myself from my negative experiences for those that have traveled that path that I've traveled to offer that insight, that different perspective of viewing things, because I once thought like this. Even in my daily life, if I'm at the gym, if I'm in public somewhere, like he goes out and talks to people. Can I talk to you? I talk to people in passing. How you doing? And it has sparked that conversation. So they may be going through something. Like, smile, ask, be kind to someone.
How you doing? Ain't that something?
Be kind to someone, because they might be going through something. Then you can offer them an alternative perspective, and it's good because we've all had our highs and our lows, and I've been the lowest and the highest, and I'm just glad to be on my 2 feet on solid ground, able to pour out of myself into others.
And I can speak with Mike, like, I think over the years we've enrolled, thank to God, probably a few thousand people, right, that have gone through the program. But there's some select people, like the gentleman I spoke about this morning, right? I'm not speaking about him in negative ways, right? He reminded me again of myself, right? When I met Mike and he came in the door, he reminded me of myself to say, man, he got potential, don't even know it. Man, just hold it, just breathe. Like I kept telling the brother the other day, bring it down, breathe, slow down.
I'm sure I know what you're talking about, because I'll be on him too.
Yeah.
I'll be on him too talking about it.
But when Mike came in, and once he understood the system and the process and what we were doing, I seen him go from that point where he released. Because we come in like this. You know, I'm protecting. I don't know what's about to happen here, and I might have to. But once I seen that point where he released, nothing has been the same, right?
See, and I bring that back to the original question, which was, how do we find our purpose inside of our profession? Because Mike is a CDL instructor, but in his mind, he's saving people's lives, just saving
Yes.
young men's lives who were in that similar position
Yes.
by teaching them how to drive an 18-wheeler. So,
But the objective is CDL,
right.
But there's so much more after that, because it's just a piece of plastic. You know,
Right.
it's something that you can make a good living and take care of your family. But if you don't have all these other, these strengths, you're not
Social skills, soft skills.
Yes, you're not doing these things so you can keep that and excel. It's that's what I'm there for. I talk to them. How you doing? What's your day going? Why do you do that? The decisions that we make. And I share with them the decisions that my thought process at one point in time. And I love the interaction. I love it.
Perfect. What about you? How do you find purpose? Like, let's say there's a young man out there, and we're like, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know what I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, how do you? What advice would you give?
Purpose in speaking to people, talking to people. I used to be mean. I was mean inside.
What?
Yeah, I was mean.
He had that persona. He felt he had to be a certain way, and we all
Billy
put
the
on
Kid
personas.
right there.
But when God blessed me, when He saved me, I've been through a lot. I've been through kidney transplants, cancer, all that. But you can't tell by how I look, because I don't put on. I have a purpose in life.
You look like what you've been through.
I don't look like what I've been through. I have a purpose in life, and my purpose is to help other people, of telling them what I've been through, showing them the right way to go. Don't go down that alley. It's pit bulls down there. Now, if you go down there on your own, then that's on you.
You come back big.
Take the right turn. I used to tell my kids growing up. My kids would say, "Daddy, well, why you?" No, if I say don't do it, don't do it. But if you do it, it's on your own.
But you got to think now. Go back to the point. How many times you were told?
That's
Right. That
do
was
it.
perfect.
But but also you saying don't do it back
Right.
then in that different lifestyle, but doing something different.
Yeah, because
Show
then it
them
was
don't
called.
do it.
Back then it was called.
Yeah.
Do what
I say, not what I do.
That's right.
So if you,
Yes, absolutely. So it's been really a struggle, and I'm gonna go back to the strength of gaining strength is, like Mike said, repetitions. Every day you got to do something different every day.
Right.
Muscles don't go overnight. Muscles has memory. You ain't gonna build muscles overnight. You got to keep doing it, and that's how we got to do on our daily life.
That's deep. That's
Our
good, Billy.
focus,
That's
stay
good, Billy the
focused.
Kid. That's good, Billy the Kid.
And we can go back to that topic too, like where, you guys became strong because of the things that you went through, but you don't want your children to go through the same things, that you went through. You want them to build, their strength in another way. And with evolution, it's about learning from the previous generation and not committing the same mistakes and always improving and always building on, what came before.
I think the essence of the struggle and the go through is always going to be there, regardless. Because talking weights and repetition, you got to work it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now,
And that takes pain.
Don't give
right?
up.
well,
Don't give up.
for somebody who's been through, or for groups of people who've been through what an incarceration, boys in your neighborhood shooting at your friends, and doing anything else that doesn't build, only destroys. We can't lose sight of what we learned through the struggle, the strengths that we've gained. Because you get to the other side, you almost have to look back. You almost have to. You know what I mean? So we can't forget the fortitude it took to get there. But if we did our wrong right, I mean, and if we really learn from what we did, then we just set up different things for our kids.
Right.
We have to have enough strength.
And that's, I mean, that you hit it right there. I mean, when you think of trying to create a new path for your child, and as a father, and I'm sure as mothers, but as speaking from a father's perspective, we don't want our kids to hurt for nothing.
Right.
But we know you can't protect them from it, right? So they have to go through it. But what we have to do and what we can do is prepare them for it. So then, therefore, when they go through it, they don't have to look like what they went through. That's right. Then they can go back and say, you know what? Daddy told me that. And I think that's the strength in us being able, as men, being able to pass that down to say, baby, repetition, baby, repetition, baby. When I tell my kids every day, don't sit down that table, put that food in your mouth without blessing your food. It seems like a simple thing, but that's repetition. You bless that food.
Yeah.
That's your food. Right? That ain't no luxury. There's people that don't have that, right? Be thankful for it. So I think instilling and continuing to instill.
And instilling that knowledge within them, helping them know things. They may not use it right then and there, but they can go back and be like, oh, that's what my mom said, my dad said.
And we all did that.
But,
Don't nobody learn how to juggle overnight, though.
no, and then my daughter, there was an instance this week, my daughter, I gave her allowance. I said, all right, now I need you to take this amount out of it. She's like, why? I'm like, you gotta pay taxes. She's like, what? So I explained to her, like, $1 isn't really
A dollar's not a dollar. It's not 100% on the dollar.
She asked me a question about if someone won the lottery, how much money they would get. I'm like, oh, they're gonna take. She's like, why they take that much? I thought, why do they say that? I'm like, that's what they say. Yeah. But this is what they take.
Because there's this FICA, there's these other.
There's these taxes, so I'm explaining to her taxes.
Yeah.
And I can see her mind working, but I know I planted that seed for her to be aware of it. She's only 10, but she's aware of it now.
And my daughter's the same way, Sky and Ocean, we saved up a little money. We got a little vending machine, and they can't stand putting that money in the bank, right? We take the money out the machine, and we all know what it feels like to hold money in our hands.
They just want,
right?
They don't want to.
They like, Daddy. No, I'm like, no, put it in the bank bag. You get this, and I pay them like they get the 10% tithes, taxes. That's what they get out of what they make, right? They don't understand it. But then as that repetition continues, now they're saying, Daddy, I had $247 in the bank. Now we got $677 in the bank. That's repetition. So now it's not as hard, still hard. Because the 10-year-old and the 7-year-old want what they want.
Yes, definitely.
Want what they want.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a time when your daughter is going to be a grown woman, right? And she's going to understand, hopefully, in that point, all of our credit scores, right? Understand the responsibility of saving, spending, right? You should spend so much of your earnings, keep so much. Those things will come back in our mind.
Right.
That's what we hope.
Yeah. My daughter likes to go, when I get her off the bus, I'm hungry. You want to go spend money, so I break it down. If I spend this much money every day of the week, this is this much money a month. I'm going to say, you know what? I told her, I'm going to give you this allowance. You take the money out your allowance and get you some food for the week. She's like, but that ain't that much. I'm like, you better figure it out.
You better figure it out.
You're going to go to...
We're going to Aldi's.
I said, go ahead and get you a 6-pack ramen noodle from Dollar Tree. You better figure out how to make it fancy.
Huh.
She's like, Dad, just make a sandwich at your place and bring it on over for me.
Those are straight up survival tactics, though. you
Yeah.
know?
Hey.
We have to allow our kids to be uncomfortable. We have to actually push them out in.
So allow your
Wendy's.
kids.
Wendy's. Yeah.
Allow your kids to be uncomfortable
To learn from their.
because life is not always comfortable.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
You better say it.
It's not always comfortable.
I caught myself doing that Saturday. I had my twins and my daughter, they 9 years old. All she wanted to do is go on Shein.
Sheen, all the
said,
shopping.
"Oh, what?
Sheen.
What is-
Sheen
what
is
is
Shein?
You
Yeah,
buy all the
shopping.
clothes. You can get the
And she
the
know
fake
how to
Gucci
do it too.
and the fake Louis.
Here she go.
You can get the.
Shut
You
up.
can
That
get
ain't
50.
Daddy, put your credit card in here.
This is not a
I ain't finna
sponsorship.
do
They did
that.
not
No,
sponsor
not
us.
Sheen
Well, I
did
did
not.
now.
We have
$2,
nothing to do with
$3.
Sheen
Big old L's.
at all.
They got them big L's and them.
spent
No Sheen.
$13
These
on
all
her.
crooked.
But I'm just like, man.
And you also. No, that's what it's called, Sheen.
Shein.
Yeah.
They said that leaning baton.
It's a clothing.
It's a
line.
clothing line. It's like a clothing ghetto Walmart.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
Kids be, oh.
And then you also have to teach them accumulating stuff. What is stuff?
Right.
Materials. It's
Right.
it's going to collect dust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you explain that to them while they're young as well, so they.
You know,
so
and
they
I
understand.
remember. I remember growing up as a kid, and I got most of the things that I thought I wanted. But I remember growing up and figuring as a father, I got to get my kids this, and I got to buy this. And I would go out and spend all this money and buy. I done bought the babies $10 each. You can only play with one doll at a time.
They collecting
Right?
dust.
And they looking at the other dolls. So then what we started doing after I caught on to it, we started taking the rest of the toys that they didn't touch over the next day or so, and we would go out to the Walmarts and we would pass the toys out to kids and families in the parking lot. Right? So then they was like, oh, Daddy. So then that kind of helped me say, be mindful of what you're asking for. But I got to be mindful as a father, what am I giving you?
And what are you incentivizing?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
they want more stuff because they see us and they only learn from it. Doesn't happen in a vacuum. They're learning it from someone. And that's dope too. I love that you said that because I bet you that they when they received the toy, of course they felt joy. But when they gave that toy to somebody else, I bet you they felt joy
man.
also, and
They
they
love
like,
it every year.
So I can get
That's
that
just what we
same
do.
type of energy. I get that same type of that same type of feeling by helping somebody.
More adrenaline.
Right.
Every year,
exactly.
that's just kind of something they do. Daddy, I'm going to get this away. We're going to get that away. Because, you got grandma, you got aunties, you got cousins. Everybody want to give you something. You don't need all that stuff.
No.
You don't need all that stuff.
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 Life is about
Stuff. That's
stuff.
it. Stuff.
Remember me and the hustler and dope dealer, you had 8 cars?
Yeah.
You can't even drive
We had
it
8
one
cars.
One at a time.
We all had Dayton's.
Brother started getting 3 sunroofs. You just gonna put 3
I mean,
sunroofs.
3 a night.
Doc, come on, Doc. You 3 sunroofs. That's what we doing.
You have a backup
With this.
vehicle, 2 vehicles.
3 different suns.
Yeah.
A car in the truck.
Yeah.
You know,
But
we wasted so much money that we really started to become extremely country. A whole bunch of shiny, just right there. Everybody's shiny all day, just shiny, and
With no purpose.
just like our kids,
No
we lost.
With no purpose.
Just to get more
How much
stuff.
of that stuff do we keep?
None of it.
Not a lot. Not a lot.
I didn't keep none
Not a
of
lot.
it.
no.
All that candy paint.
When I
All them
left
rims.
at 17,
All
and
the
at
materials.
17, I accumulated
all that paper your boy
stuff
hit you for.
that grown men didn't have. Right?
Yep.
But when I came home at 22, my family had took all that stuff. And
Oh,
friends
that
had
stuff
took
is
all
gone.
that stuff.
It's gone.
Right?
Immediately.
That's in the contract. That's in the contract.
It was like,
Sorting
it was
through
like
the
no,
stuff.
brother, you got 25. You wasn't supposed to come home here in 4.
Ain't,
You're supposed to come home in about 13 or 14.
ain't nothing you can do
Right.
with them rims. I'm gonna need them.
Yeah, I need them right now.
I'm beating for you. I'm gonna beat
And
for
then you
you.
ain't gonna put no money on your conversation.
No, I'm gonna beat for you. I'm gonna roll down the street and
Need
beat
that.
for you.
We living out here. You walk to the child hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. In your journey of finding focus, strength, and purpose, what is a piece of advice that you can give to the younger generation, so that they can also find their focus, their strength, and their purpose? Like, what is one piece of advice you can give to the younger generation?
So Loaded one. Billy, you go.
Stay focused. Don't do it. Don't go down that road. Don't go down that road. Stay focused. Pray. Ask God to deliver you. Get a job. Get into some type of trade. You know, heating and cooling. If it's truck driving, whatever you want to do that. Don't go down that road, man, because it ain't easy. It's easy getting in it, but it's hard to come out. It's hard. I'm dealing with it now because I didn't listen to the older generation. Said, man, you need to stop that. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. Stop doing that. But greed got me. And now that I work a 9 to 5, I appreciate the greed now more. I appreciate my paycheck every week, every 2 weeks. You know, it's a simple process. It's not hard. You don't have to get that Escalade right now. Work toward it. Build your credit. Build your finance up. Don't spend that money on them True Religion jeans. $300.
That's cheap now.
Go to Walmart.
Yes.
Go, save your money. Build your.
But a
Build-
young man would say, T,
You lived your
how
life
am I gonna,
already.
yeah, OG, how am I gonna get girls if I ain't looking like all my homeboys?
You already lived your
How
life,
am I
OG.
gonna-
Hey.
I need this Gucci belt.
You did it,
I need this.
You had your fun now. I can't.
You searching for the wrong ones.
Right. You folk. You
The ones that's looking at
real-
the belt.
a real woman gonna accept you for who you are, not what you got on.
Exactly.
These girls nowadays is
That's looking at your attire.
attire.
You know what? Just on this scenario, I think it might be a little bit better to let that young blood come to his own conclusion by asking a simple question. What type of woman you looking for?
Yes, that's my
That's
next.
it.
Let him play with that.
Yeah.
And sit there and walk with him.
If that's what you're looking
That's
for,
it.
then
That's
you're
right.
gonna need
Well,
some
that's
more
the
true
type of
religion.
What
Right.
type of woman you looking for?
Hey, if you looking for
hold
that-
up. And if you're gonna have a cultured conversation, it's gonna probably take place over time. I tell a lot of cats sometimes, you ain't gotta answer that today. I swing back around on
What you
your
have to do is find your save your money, get
Save
your
your
life
money.
together,
Get your life together.
get your life together. You know what I'm saying? First,
Those are
and then the girls.
but you know,
girls
those are laws. Some things, if we'd have done, whether we went to the streets or we just did life the right way,
But go
we
back-
would have had what we were gonna have,
But go back to who taught us that?
or didn't teach us.
Yeah.
Who was your teacher or your mentor?
The Mac?
Or that was telling you? Where
I
were
had
you
to learn
getting your
from the
information from?
Superfly.
I had to learn from the streets.
Right. When I was
Streets
growing
taught
up,
me.
the most positive thing that I had in my life growing up at that time was Bill Cosby with the Huxtables. That was the closest image growing up that I seen as a family.
Really?
A black man, a black woman, married with children in the same home, working with a career, talking about education, talking about that wasn't in my house, right? So where do we get these images from?
Streets.
So, I would say for the younger generation, we're always looking for things to support or justify what we're doing. Start searching for things to dispute it. When you search for, to dispute it, why I shouldn't do these
Right.
things, and look at it from that angle and that perspective.
There's
That's
al-
my advice.
This
there.
is a question Bird keep asking. Where?
Where?
Where do
You
we?
over here.
No, hold on.
So-
Listen, where do we get these images? So let that breathe for a minute. And for real, for me, the only question is the big answer. We build them. We got to control our own fucking image, man. Everything good that we talk about is out here. The only thing we're really missing is that the messaging is put out here. The messaging about black folks is getting out here one way or another. What are some of the most talked about motherfuckers on the planet? But look at all the messaging. It goes back to day one. Systems. Our systems.
Creating
this
sources.
message. You know, this to me, I come out here. I'm gonna be transparent with you right now, dog. For the rest of my life and to fulfill my purpose, this is what I want. This, whatever this is and whatever it can grow into, but this feeling, this fourth meeting, this 400th meeting, this 4,000th meeting, these conversations.
Yes.
No, this is
Yes.
what I want. I've been every fucking where else. Only thing I want to do when I go out is go somewhere nice and I ain't at home. I'm somewhere nice and I ain't at home. Might be able to pull a cocktail out. Might be able to call my lady, tell her to come up here and have some chili. You know, if it was summertime, might be able to go sit out on the wall till 4 o'clock in the morning. What I'm saying is that the possibilities are here. I want to be around a group of psychopaths, people that are crazy enough to believe that we do not have to live the fucking way that we live. That's all I'm going for, man. I'm sorry.
I like that. No, you went in there, and I felt that. We all felt that, and
Where do we get it from?
we got to be bold enough,
We build it.
crazy enough. We've all been bold enough and crazy enough
We
for
build
everything
it.
else.
We build it
Right? Can we be
Right.
bold enough and crazy enough for something positive?
every day.
Right.
We gotta work this.
We gotta work it. We gotta
every
be
day.
on- you gotta be on.
We working out.
We have to be on display because everything else, these images that the younger generation is getting, is on display.
Right.
It's right on the phone. It's in their music.
That's
It's
right.
on display.
The world-
But how do you get this on display
We-
within the community?
Repetition.
Consistency. Repetition.
There you go. We got to believe in God.
Yes,
I
God
want
first.
something so big that there's no possible way that I can tell how the fuck I'm gonna get there, nor do I care. But I'm gonna come outside every day enthused. This is how I want to live the rest of my life.
Yes.
I'm tired of worrying about what so and so thinks or so and so thinks. I don't give a damn what's going on overseas. That niggas come down on 60th. I don't give a damn what they doing on the Gaza Strip. To be politically correct, it's a bad thing whenever human beings are losing their lives.
you had to bring
But
that up.
I
Bring
really
that up.
we got to
You
keep it
went
real.
Gaza on this, bro.
I
was like, look, cut.
I don't have a dog in this fight, and I shouldn't have to have a dog in this fight because if anything that claims says they believe in, I shouldn't have to do anything first besides tend to me and mine first. Once I'm good, then we can help you. But I can't keep trying to help you, and I can't help myself, and then you really don't even like me for real. Well, maybe you do, but you don't. Well, I'm a fetish to you. You really don't understand me. You say you do. You know I walk cool, and you learn how to do the nay-nay and shit. You know how to say drill and you know what blood means now. But that's cool. But do you know me?
Do you know who I am?
And work better than that, do you want to? Because if you want to know me, if you live in a country where they're trying to figure out what Juneteenth means and they've never heard of the joint in Oklahoma and down there and this, that, or the other, then that just means that you don't care enough about me to open up a book and do some simple history, because the shit's all simple history. I learned about it all in the libraries when I was a kid, so why should I continue to spend my time, wasting my time away from my people, giving all my investment, my energy, my time, my talents
That's
to
what the USA
people?
does.
I don't have time for
We
that.
tie into other.
That's them. I want
things
to. I want to
instead
give
of
Caesar
being
what I want to give
fixing
Caesar. I want to
us.
get my Jesus on. I want to give Caesar what is his. Pay my motherfucking taxes, man, and stay complying with the rules of the law, land, and the road, and worry about mine, man. Because I want to be around a bunch of psychopaths, a bunch of people crazy enough to believe that we do not have to live this way anymore, and we can do it overnight. I'm fronting on God now. I dare you. For real, God, I dare
He
you.
can do it, and
I dare
he's
you.
doing
I
it.
dare you. I
And
dare you.
even when you look at scenarios, anything you start can grow big, can grow small. There's waves in it. I've been in business and living long enough to know that there's no straight lines to anything.
Take that.
There's no straight lines to anything. There's curves. There's different paths, right? And we're all going to take different paths with the intention of ending up at the same place. That don't mean we're going to end up there, right? Because if you're not willing to go through those curves just as happily as you are to go through that straight line, it's all in vain, right? So I think if we continue to do things like this, no matter how big, how small, we're repetitiously doing the same thing that's going to share, and eventually it breaks down walls.
It become muscle
Barriers.
memory. And all I'm really trying to do is remember who I was before I got lost. Who was I 2,000, 4,000 years ago?
Man, who was you?
I'm trying to wake up.
88,
You did?
95,
Right.
2000.
In 88, I had a nice bang on my curl.
No.
You know what I'm talking about? I had a nice curl. I was first with the curl bang.
He had a ready for the world curl.
What's going on, Levi? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I want to open it up to the crowd.
Come on up here, man.
What
Get
would you
close.
say focus, strength, and purpose? Like how you find your focus, strength, and purpose. What's that mean?
Get this chair.
Yeah.
Hey, you come take this chair. Get to the microphone. Is that yours? It is.
Hello. It's Brother Levi. Now ask that
Brother
question.
Levi.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about focus, strength, and purpose. How do you find your focus? How do you find your strength? And how do you find your purpose?
So, this is a big world out there. A lot of people believe a lot of things, what I'm saying? A lot of spirits vying for people's attention. Me personally, Christ Jesus is my rock and foundation, And so, in the midst of looking for purpose, strength, and focus, the scripture reminds me that if I want, the things that I need and I want the things that I desire, only thing I have to do is seek righteousness. You know what I'm saying? And seek the kingdom of God. And so, once I'm seeking him, and, my mind is determined to please him, my desires become his desires. My wants become his wants. And I find myself, seeing what he's put in me, what he's placed in me. And others, can find that too. There's a process, there's a walk, I think last time we was talking about systems, we were also talking about discipleship, and how, that takes discipline. The repetition, that is done when you are disciplined concerning something, allows you to explore, those individual things. And when it comes to strength, if you need it, that's part of the Holy Ghost, the seven spirits of God, might. And when it comes to focus, being able to, be in the Word and see how he sees, faith come by hearing and hearing by the Word of God. And then when it comes to purpose, like I said, day by day, if you, abiding in him, he'll abide in you and he'll start to reveal that to you.
He'll show it to you when you sit down and you ask him for it.
Straight up.
That's dope. That's perfect. And so that would be the advice that you'll give to the younger generation. That'll be the first step.
Straight up.
So let me ask you, so how would you, to a young man that's say 18, 19 years old, that hasn't got to that spiritual awareness yet, that has lacked any support, guidance, how would you deliver that message to him? Right?
Honestly, how I be moving, on the block, depending on what kind of character I'm dealing with, I might have to whoop up on him, some people, they fast at the mouth, they stuck in their ways, and I find, brutal honesty with a demon, a devil, of hindrance, is what's necessary. If somebody's stuck in some foolery, or a conception of life that's not true, you hit them with reality. What you saying ain't the way, bro. What you like one day I remember I was about like 21 and I was in my apartment and I had invited some people in there and I had an apartment in Jazz Hill, and at the time, I didn't have no babies or no nothing, so I had about 10 people in my front room. It was a 1-bed apartment in Jazz Hill. But in the midst of one day talking to people what was going on in the world, one of the brothers started talking about how he was going to go and kill cops, and he was just going to start shooting them up, and I'm just going to, that's what I want to do, I just want to murk me some police.
Wait a minute, what kind of demon I got in my house? Wait a minute.
And I started talking to him. I said, man, that's what you want to do, man. There's a whole bunch of things in this world I want to do, and if I moved on, my emotions and how I feel, I'd be in a troubled place. We was talking about, going to county, going to prison, I just just got out of county 6 months, and you know what I'm saying, it did something for me. I liked it. I needed it. You know what I'm saying? It allowed me to be open and free, and you know, cut the bull. You know what I'm saying? Cut the persona. You know what I'm saying? But in my case, you know, the persona is 100% me. You know, I'm not pressed by nobody, and so in the midst of, you know, me being in county, you know, I was paid tribute just because of who I am, and we was talking about that. There's a difference between a persona and who you are, and then there's a difference between what you do and who you are. But you know, meet a person where they are. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different spirits in this world, and we have to meet them, you know what I'm saying, with wisdom and, you know, understanding, knowing that whatever is hindering them from, you know, knowing that what they're doing is wrong, you know, we need to combat it, you know, in the best way possible. And sometimes, you know, equipping yourself with those tools is just getting in the Word and seeking the Lord and praying and fasting.
Say that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Say that.
I think that's gonna be a wrap.
That was a lot.
That was good. Yeah. Yeah. So all right, y'all. So thank y'all for watching another episode, Talking Reflections. We'll be back.
Talking Reflections.